So yeah, my name is Cyril, and I play Benvolio in Romeo and Juliet. I've been playing Benvolio for quite a while now. I started in 2006, so yeah. I think it's easy for Benvolio was what I try to what I try to give to the character is to make sure that he is the best friend possible. So he has a lot of empathy. He is a joyful, and is a friend. He's a real friend. So like the noble sense of being a friend. He's always gonna be there for you. And yeah, he has a lot of empathy, and he's joyful, playful all the time. So that's I think Benvolio. That's it. For Romeo, it's easy also. He's romantic for sure. He is what we call driven in a way that he is single-minded, meaning that he would go through any obstacle, whatever the cost. So he is very determined, and it has to be charming. That's the part of Romeo. So he's romantic, charming. He doesn't know his power. He doesn't know his power. The power he has on everybody. So he's not aware of this. He has this charisma, natural charisma, but he's not aware of it. So that doesn't make him a cynical. He's actually very candid and very innocent in that regard. I think I would be more a Benvolio in the sense that I tend to find funny things about everything, even when it's very when it's full on romantic or full on sad. I will always find ways to cope with it. As Romeo is more, like I said, he's more single-minded. So whenever it's super funny, he's gonna be very intense about it. Or when it's like super sad, he's gonna be super intense about it. I would be more always try to find different aspects in everything. The glass is not always half full, half empty. It's in that regard, I would say I would be more a Benvolio for sure. So Benvolio is more me, like exaggerated. But in Romeo, you really have to be in that moment. Benvolio can change attitude in 2 seconds. I can do different feelings in just 10 minutes. I can go through so many different emotions. When in Romeo, he has to be focused on one feeling. Whatever he feels it like 100%. So, in that regard, I would say more Benvolio. It's true, and that was my fight throughout the years. Originally, back in 2006, when we created this version of this show with this new set, those new costumes, when we recreated the show in 2006, we were working with the real director, the original director. His name is Reda. He's the choreographer, the original choreographer, the original director. And what we created in 2006 was more like every part has his time to shine, and he was very focused. He loved Benvolio as well. So what we had with him was I never felt left out of the plot. I never felt left out of the story. And throughout the years, and especially when I left to play, when he left the show and this creator left the show, then every time it was so rushed to be focused on Romeo and Juliet, then and Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt and Mercutio, the other parts were pushed on the side. So they were focusing on the main story and not so much on the understory, which we created at the beginning. So Benvolio started to be more in the background and not. To give you an example, Verona when Mercutio and Tybalt are facing and doing this little choreography with their dancers. Benvolio was there from the creation when we created it, and at some point, I don't know how, why, whatever, it was let's focus on just Tybalt and Mercutio, their rivalry, and that's it. Which I think is a big miss for the show. I think we missed a lot of things, and especially for Benvolio, it was kind of a blow. And then when I left to play Romeo, there's so many things that got cut out of the show. So many parts have been cut out. And when I left the show, obviously in 2015, when I came back in 2018, Benvolio was basically invisible. Like what they were doing on the tour in 2016 and 18, Benvolio disappeared from the stage. So when I get back, I had to work my way back into the show and find a way to exist. So that was my goal, is to, with so little things to do, I had to make sure that he was still having an arc throughout the show, and he was still helping the plot move on, and he was there and to show his personality more. So I had to regain my spot in the show, which was kind of hard. But little by little, I think with what I have right now, I think I managed to do as much as I could, and not just focus on the main part, which is good. I understand, it's a 2-hour show, so they have to focus on Romeo and Juliet, of course. They have to focus on Tybalt and Mercutio, but then the friendship, what we had before, we had more songs for Romeo, Mercutio, and Benvolio. They had more songs. They had more time together to show that they were a unit. We had more time to show the Montague as a unit. There's a lot of things that are missing in this version of the show, and I hope that it will come back. Yeah, there are some moments when I remember 2012. I got a phone call from Gérard Pressurvic, so the creator of the show, and I was in Singapore, and he said, "You know what? For the next tour, I want you to be Romeo because Damien is not available and doesn't want to do this tour, so I want you to do it." And I remember my first reaction was, "Don't do this to me. People are gonna hate me whatever I do, even if I'm good or bad or whatever. They're gonna hate me because, playing the part after Damien, it's sure, I was positive that it would be very polarizing. But my luck in this was that it was in Japan. Nobody heard of Romeo and Juliet, and nobody heard of Damien playing Romeo. So it was almost a French canvas, and there were no reference to, which was good. It was almost a free, YouTube was there, but there was not so many videos running around, so I was not as, bombarded as we are now. We can tell each show what I was wearing, what I was doing. Now I know, but before that, it was not this way. So when I got to Japan, I knew that my thought was that people wouldn't have any references, and the same way I prepared for Benvolio is that I didn't watch. I thought I could get away as much as I could from the other part. So I thought you have to go as far as possible from what Damien is doing, and try to find my own way of doing it. And my own way of doing it was something more from the musical romantic period, like Chopin and Liszt, and those songwriters. They had a certain type of look and certain type of emotions that I thought I could capture this. Instead of trying to mimic something that I'm not, I could capture what I have in mind, which is more like my musical background, and listening to Beethoven, to Chopin, Liszt, going into that thing where everything is romantic. Like in that era, everything they were looking at was romantic. You can look at a bird flying in the sky, and this is romantic. You can watch a flower bloom, it is romantic, and you can see that in their eyes. And that's what I try to do. When I was playing it, I was trying to always say, whatever you see, whatever you encounter is new to you. So everything is a discovery. So that's why it feels like almost like a teenager, because every situation I was confronted with, I would discover it for the first time. I was trying to discover it for the first time. Every time, even if I had to, the first touch with Juliet, it was almost like I don't know, and it's not like I'm gonna grab her and I know what to do and I know how to kiss her and I know how to hold her. It was almost like I'm gonna kiss someone for the first time. I'm gonna hold someone for the first time. I'm gonna touch that skin for the first time. So everything I was doing in the show was in my mind. How I would react if it was the first time, So, and once again, like I told you before, Romeo is very full on for his emotion. When I was happy, I would be happy, but in a childish way. Like I would be selfishly happy. If I was angry, I would be angry like a kid, and angry like something like where you are, there's like a overwhelmed by your emotions. You don't have the adult mindset thinking, oh, you should, don't be angry 100%, just be angry 70%. It's not worth it. Kids don't think like that, or teenagers that don't go like that. They go extreme. They go from 0 to 100 in 1 second, whether it's for joy or for sadness or for anger, so that's what I try to do when I was playing Romeo. Yeah, there is a reason. Is that we try because we are, we are way past the age of the characters, right? So we don't want to add some more reminders that those parts should be 20 years old. Now we know that Romeo and Juliet could be for anybody, and that's the beauty of it. Anybody could be a Romeo and Juliet. That's what we're working on and working with. So why is it, it's the same for there's a line Romeo says, I am not 20 years old. That's he says that that's his first line. And it's true, he's not 20 years old. It doesn't mean that he's younger or older, but he's not 20 years old. So thinking that I would say I am 20 years old would be like a lie, and we don't want to lie to the audience. So we just remove all the age related sentences. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody cares, Nobody cares about the age anymore. They want to see the story, and I don't want to tell them I am 20 years old when I'm not 20 years old. You would look dumb. So instead of looking dumb, I said we should remove that line. It doesn't serve the story, and doesn't serve the purpose. So it's just a respect for the audience. Yeah, so like I told you, when we were creating this version of the show in 2006 with Reda, the original creator, he wanted us to, everybody in the show, everybody in the cast would have a name, would have a story, and of course Benvolio would have his girlfriend throughout the show, meaning that we would get, every time we would get the same person. And my girlfriend was Zalina. She was a Russian dancer. And yeah, we would have that throughout the show. But then once again, when the original creator left, some things got lost in the mix, and they didn't care about those underlining stories anymore. So we lost this. Mercutio had his girlfriend. We could, even in the show, we had Rosaline. Rosaline was a real part in 2006. which was great. I love this thing when we were talking about her and she's there, you know. And then when we were doing this show, I talked to, last tour it was Roberta, and I told her about this, and I said, you know, we should do this because we are dancing throughout the show, and we should have this connection from start to finish. So we started to implement things with her, but just, you know, that was our own decision just to do that, just to make the show a bit more interesting for the audience and to see different interactions. So yeah, it was with Roberta last tour, and on this tour I told Julie about that, and yeah, so in the end Julie and I, she was my girlfriend on the show. So we didn't have a name, but you know, we had this connection. To be honest, those two parts are completely separate, so I don't think this way. When I'm in Benvolio mode, I'm in Benvolio mode, and I'm just making fun of everybody. So Paris, not Paris, Montaigu, Capulet, I will no. So there's no. I don't. When I played Romeo, no, I don't care about this. When I'm in Benvolio mode, and it's the bar, it's a big mess. So I just make fun of everybody, and I really don't care. No, obviously no. That's the whole point. Is that he's in charge. He thinks that he has to be the man now of the house, and just need to show that he's not down. But then, as soon as he sees, you know, when he turns around and he sees the two bodies of his friends, he just collapses. So he's not ready for her. He's just like trying to act as I'm going to show them that I'm still there, but then no, he's not ready for it. Nobody can be prepared for this. His friend is, you know, Romeo is out in Mantoue, and his other best friend is dead. So he's definitely not ready. And that's the whole thing of when I finish the song, I'm like breathing out. Okay, I can do it, and just go and see and try to stay straight in front of Comte Capulet, and then turn around and just, yeah, I'm done. That was his last moment of strength, and yeah, he collapses. So no, he was not ready, and nobody can be ready for this. No, actually, the people around are people who are living in Mantoue. So people at that time, what people were thinking of, who were living in Mantoue was lepers, people with, you know, mental disorder. They were all the people, the castaways. So those people are not robbers. They are ghosts and silhouettes from Mantoue. So it's more of being in a swirl of unknown, uncertainty, than just giving up whatever he has. It's just that this song is supposed to be the journey from Vérone to Mantoue. But once again, you know, I've done so many different versions of this song. You know, I've had, I don't know, 6 or 7 different versions of the song. But it's always the same thing, is the journey from Vérone to Mantoue. And in Mantoue, he is surrounded by lepers and people around him, and they know that they cannot, that is not a threat. Even they feel his distress and his sadness, and you know, to the extent almost they embrace him as, you know, you are one of us too, in a way that you are. Your heart is broken. You are completely a broken man, so you are one of us also in Mantoue. So it's totally, actually the total opposite of what you were thinking. In my mind, once again, you know, it's just once again, it's just a journey from Vérone to Mantoue, and the people around are just people from Mantoue, and just silhouettes and ghosts and yeah, the most important thing is the death playing with him. He is just toying with him. You know, Am I gonna kill you? No, not yet. Am I gonna kill you? No, not yet. Maybe I'm gonna spare your life, so you're gonna have a life of misery. So that's the important thing, is how she controls this character at this moment. The funny thing is that when we are walking and I'm facing the death, I'm not allowed to look at her in the eyes, because she's not there, you know. So I have to look, even if she's there, I have to look somewhere else, and not to look at her in her eyes, because she doesn't exist in a way. Exactly what you said. You know, he's discovering the worst case scenario, and that's it. And you know, he has to. First, I think he has to go and see Romeo's mother, and then rumors spread, and everybody's there. But I think his duty, I would say that he wants to be the first one to tell Romeo's mother. You know, that's the duty as Romeo's brother and best friend and whatever you want to call him. But that's probably what he wants to do. Is to be the first one. Nobody else should tell her first. He has to be the first. Yeah, I love this moment. I love this song, Romeo's Death. This song, I never, before that, when I was playing Benvolio, I never noticed this song. But it's only when I had to sing it that I realized how beautiful of a song it is. And I loved singing it. And I loved it. Because what I love most in singing is putting extra dynamic things when I sing. So it's going from one sentence to another with a different emotion, different dynamic in my voice, and it's really like dancing with my voice. I could go like almost a whisper on one word, not just singing it like in a constant line. I would always do jumps and put the emphasis on certain words and be very quiet on others, and this song was allowing me to do this. It was really like gymnastics, like vocal gymnastics. And I love, because I was performing with Joy, and I know Joy so well, and we have such a strong connection that it was so great to just like do this, and I could see her face, and I could, it was something very special. I loved every single one of those shows with her. And then when I'm lying down, listening to her singing her song also, and you could feel something, you could feel her presence next to me, and everything was great. And some nights I was so in the moment that I would even I would be gone, with even like a meditative state, like almost when you are in the zone, when your mind is just like blank. And yeah, so I really enjoyed this moment. And then when the others are singing, and that everybody's turning around you and singing around you, it's a special feeling. And I never wanted to even try to open my eyes just to see who was around. I would always just close my eyes and just be in the moment. I remember that probably one or two times I even fell asleep. Probably. So yeah, that's how relaxed I was. The tricky part is that sometimes when you have your arm in a certain position, and if Joy was not in the right position, my arm would hurt so much. So you have to hold, and it hurts so much. So that was not but that happened just a few times. It happens, yes, but not that much, because between my last performance as Romeo and when I came back in 2019 in Moscow, when I'm being Benvolio again, 4 years had passed. So it was not like overnight I had to switch to one part to another. So I had time to go back, and I have to admit that it was fairly easy to go back to Benvolio after 4 years. The only moment that were strange, it was during Roi du Monde, probably, because I was in my mind, I always had like the Romeo harmony and not the Benvolio one. So it took me quite a few times just to be back in Benvolio mode. But once again, when you play with your best friends, it's great, and being with Damien, and we're just like, okay, the whole gang is getting back together. Now it sounds good, because I know that John was also, I'm not going to say suffering, but he was awkward when he was Alexis and Gregory, and he was not feeling like great. And then Alexis left, but Gregory was still there, but he was still not great. But when we got back together, just the three of us, John, Damien, and I, we clicked like before, and it worked. The three voices work together. Our three dynamics work together. It's just some things are just very natural. I was so happy that I had done Romeo in my life. I'm so happy, but I knew it was just temporary. I knew that I was just replacing Damien the time being. In my mind, it's very clear. I've played Benvolio so many times. Nobody ever played Benvolio as much as me. So this is my character. Benvolio is my character. I'm lucky that I got the chance to play Romeo, but I know that, in the end, Benvolio is the one that I created and the one that will live on forever. So yeah, it was very clear in my mind. That was the question. I can do the beginning of it. Quand la mer est noire, quand la terre ronde, qu'on se sent tout seul au monde, quand nos cœurs de verre se glacent, qu'on ne sait plus où est sa place, quand les dieux sont en colère, qu'on est perdu sur la terre, on prie. On prie, on prie, on prie, on prie, quand la vie est un enfer, que les hommes se désespèrent, qu'il ne reste que la prière. Quand la mer est noire, quand la terre ronde, qu'on se sent tout seul au monde, on prie. That's it.